The point of this is, though, that this was a make or break situation. And quite frankly, this all escalated from the moment, really, that Harry arrived. And we're not just talking about being shut out Buckingham Palace and the fact that suddenly there was no room at the inn. You know the story, obviously.
This week was not supposed to happen. Not like this. Not with this much speed. Not after everything that has been said publicly on both sides for the better part of 6 years. And yet by Thursday evening, a message had apparently got through. By the end of the week, Harry had been in the same room as his father. Meghan had waited outside. The children were eventually brought in. Cameras were present, but the pictures belonged to the crown, not to Montecito. And William? William was at Polo and was not having any of it. This is what I know so far. It is still developing, and when I know more, you will know more. What this week actually was. Let's put this in context first, because context is everything. This was not a planned, coordinated, carefully scheduled royal reconciliation. It was not the product of months of quiet diplomatic back-channel work. It was a last-minute window of opportunity, tied to the Invictus Games in Birmingham, which had just concluded, and it was seized in a way that those around the king were, at minimum, cautious about. The broader picture of this week matters too. The court case that concluded this week, the final chapter of Harry's long legal battle, was not the outcome Harry or Meghan would have chosen. The Netflix projects have underperformed against expectations. The Invictus funding situation in Australia did not resolve the way Harry hoped. The lifestyle brand has not generated the commercial momentum that was anticipated when everything was launched with such confidence. What you are looking at, if you take the emotion out of it and look at the business reality, is a couple who have gone down every available avenue and found most of them either closed or considerably narrower than advertised. In that context, what happened this week is not simply a family moment. It is also, whether anyone wants to frame it this way or not, a strategic calculation. What actually happened? From what I know, here is what I can tell you from sources close to this story. There was a meeting. It took place at Highgrove in Gloucestershire, the king's private home, not a formal palace setting. The timing was late Thursday evening. Late on Thursday, a message got through from Meghan's side, essentially communicating that Harry was in a fragile state and that this week, this window, was necessary. Now, you can read that however you choose. Some will say it is genuine. Others will say it is exactly the kind of framing that tends to precede a strategic request. Both things can be true simultaneously. What I can tell you about the meeting itself is this. Harry went in first. He did not walk in with the grand scenario of the two children, the first public appearance of Archie and Lilibet in a formal family context, as the opening card. That was not the first thing through the door. Meghan was told she would be brought in when the time was right. That is what happened. She waited. She was eventually brought in with the children. Everything was controlled in terms of personal devices and recording equipment. There is photography. Those pictures are the exclusive property of the crown. And Queen Camilla was present throughout. She did not leave the king's side. This is not about inserting herself into a private moment. This is a woman of a certain age in a relationship with a man who is seriously ill, who is not going to leave him alone in a room at a moment of emotional intensity with people who have, in print and in public, said the things about her that Harry has said. You understand that? William's position, stated plainly. William wanted nothing to do with this. He was at Polo. He was not present. He did not participate. And behind the scenes, by every account I have received, he considers this week's even it's a mistake. Now, and this is important, the king can command. He is the king. If he wants to see his son, that is within his prerogative. William cannot veto his father's decisions about his own family, but William's absence was not accidental. It was a statement, and it was consistent with everything we know about where he stands. His position has not shifted. The reconciliation that Harry now believes is only a matter of time. William does not share that assessment. He is not softening. He is not reconsidering. The fact that Charles has now relented, has now had time with his son, does not, in William's view, automatically constitute progress toward any broader family resolution. Those are separate things, and William is treating them as separate things. What Harry believes and why it matters. Harry, by what I understand from those familiar with his mindset right now, is genuinely heartened. He believes that this meeting, this crack in the wall that has been up for years, represents a turning point. He believes that William, having watched his father take this step, will eventually come to the same conclusion, that it is time to move on. I want to be honest with you about how that reads from the outside. The hope that a king's personal decision to see his ill son will translate automatically into William reconsidering his own position, that is optimistic. It is the hope of someone who has been away and who perhaps does not fully understand how locked in William's thinking is on this. William is not protecting himself by maintaining his position. He is protecting the institution. and no number of Highgrove meetings, however genuine the emotion behind them, changes what was said, what was written, and what it cost the people on William's side. The bigger picture, what this really signals, let me be direct about what I think is actually happening here because I think it is more complicated than either side's version. Harry and Meghan are in a genuinely difficult commercial position. The avenues they pursued have not delivered what was promised. The legal battles have concluded. The brand is not where they needed it to be. In that context, reconnection with the royal family is not simply an emotional need. It is also the single most commercially valuable thing that could happen to the Sussex brand. A reconciliation, photographs, warmth, access is worth more than any Netflix deal currently on the table. The king is genuinely ill. He genuinely wants to see his son. Those two things are true. What sits between them is the question of what this access will cost the institution. The pictures are controlled, the narrative is controlled, for now, but Harry will be asked in an interview somewhere at some point what it was like to see his father again. And the wrong word in that answer will undo everything. The Crown knows this, William knows this, and the very specific conditions around this meeting, no personal phones, controlled photography, Camilla present throughout, reflect an institution that is managing its exposure very carefully while still allowing a father to see his son. What comes next? What I know so far, a few things are being discussed, from what I can gather. There is talk of a further visit. Balmoral in the late summer has been mentioned. Whether that happens depends on how this week's meeting is handled publicly, and specifically on whether Harry and Meghan can resist the impulse to turn it into a media moment before the dust has settled. Christmas is also being quietly discussed. Whether the traditional family gathering becomes something the Sussex family is part of again, even tangentially, is a conversation that is not concluded. And the Invictus Games in Birmingham, Harry genuinely believes the King's attendance at Invictus may now be back on the table. Whether that optimism is warranted is a different question, but he believes it. What I would say to all of that is this. One meeting does not resolve 6 years. One crack in a wall does not mean the wall has come down. And the people on the other side of this, William, Catherine, the institution, are watching very carefully to see what happens next. The next step, the crucial one, is not what happens at another visit. It is what Harry says publicly about this one. This week was not supposed to happen, and yet it did. Whether it becomes the beginning of something or simply a moment that was allowed to exist and then quietly closed again, that depends almost entirely on what comes next. The door cracked open. Whether it stays open is not down to the king. It never was. Drop your thoughts below. I want to know what you think happens from here. Like the video if it helped you understand what actually went on. Subscribe to stay with the story as it develops. Take care. See you very soon.